Well, Jesus is the best. It's your boy MoFresh. So Todd and Julie Chrisley they've been pardoned, and the world is going crazy. I didn't really know who they were. I believe there's a lot of people that might be in my shoes because I didn't know who they were at all. But I found out a lot of people know them, so I looked into the case and it's interesting. So let's check it out. Well, first of all, this is what they look like. Classic good looking couple. And I didn't know who was who. I didn't know who was, I know that's Todd, that's Julie, but I didn't know who's the resounding name. Why is this being picked up? Because originally I found this video as I'm looking at what to report on, and Todd's name was the one that was coming up. And this is interesting. So I found out, of course, as you guys know, but for those who don't, they're reality TV stars from this show called Julie Knows Best, or Chrisley Knows. I think it's Julie Knows Best or Chrisley Knows Best, something like that. And that's how they came to fame. But I'm gonna read what they went down for. Okay, so they've been incarcerated in 2022 after being found guilty. So it's not a offender, but of bank and tax fraud. So that means they were prosecuted, and a jury found that the evidence made them guilty. That's how our system works. People don't like it. There are other countries out there, but I love our public system for the most part. But yeah, just get some people up there, put them on the stand, and look at the evidence. The more of the story is, don't do anything that will even get you into that position. So anyways, Todd Chrisley, 57, has been serving a 12-year sentence at Florida's FPC Pensacola minimum security men's federal prison with a release date of April 2032. God dang, man. When you think of that 2032, you're down and out, right? For the Bureau of Prison, Julie Chrisley, meanwhile, 52, has been serving a 7-year sentence at the FMC Lexington prison in Kentucky. Dang, so they were separated, but with the release date of January 2028. The BOP says, wow, that would be in 3 years. But anyway, Scott Taylor, a spokesperson of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, told in NEMA that both Todd and Henry were released from prison, so they're out and about. And this is a little bit who they are. Now, I want to go down now. What were they convicted of? So the pair were indicted. This is when it gets a little interesting. The pair were indicted in 2019 on charges including conspiracy to defraud community banks out of more than $30 million in loans, with the federal jury convicting them in June of 2022. The couple was also convicted of conspiring to defraud the IRS, along with additional tax crimes in the U.S. Okay, so after spending all the money, Todd Chrisley filed for bankruptcy and walked away from more than $20 million of the fraudulently obtained loans to the U.S. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys what this is, okay? Because I worked in the banking industry as well. This is what you call a white-collar crime. So for those who don't know, there's blue-collar crimes and white-collar crimes. Blue-collar is just think of it like this, man. There's there are crimes that you can do while rich, that rich people do. And then there's a crime that us poor people can do, right? And some of them intersect. There's two bubbles. Some of them intersect, but there are crimes that you just, as a poor person, you're just not going to be able to do because you don't have the ability to do it. And most of these white collar crimes, so you guys know, those are committed by most of the time rich people because it requires a lot of money. And most of the times it's fraud. Most of the times it's fraud. How does somebody get $30 million in loan? Well, easy. One, it comes with a business. Have to have some LLC. And two, a lot of the crimes, and this is a lot of businesses get away with all the time, which it comes with filing for bankruptcy. Now, bankruptcy is not the Monopoly game when you're just broke and you don't have anything and your money's at zero. No. Bankruptcy is saying that I don't have the money to pay such and such. I don't have so I can't do this anymore. So if you had an LLC, guys, I'm going to put you on a quick little game. Don't do this or you're going to be in this position and you don't have their star power to get Donald Trump's attention. You're not getting out, so don't do it. Disclaimer. But The idea is if I have a business, let's say, and look, it's a luxury car business, very common loan, very common fraudulent scheme. But let's say I open up an LLC and, I have great credit behind me. So I want to get a loan for $1 million. And banks, when you have good credit, good, annual income, they're going to throw money at you. Don't accept it. Again, that's another tip for there's other videos on that stuff. But what they want is they want you to pay them back because they're going to get paid money through interest. And they have everybody pulling in them. So that is how banks make money. Some of the ways that banks make money, investments. And these are investments. I will invest in your company. You're going to pay my interest back. Now, if I made an LLC, the LLC practically is its own entity. It's its own persons. So let's say Todd Chrisley LLC, right? And this is for this luxury car business, and I get a $15 million loan, and I, write them all off like, I had to go to this trip out in Italy to meet with these car manufacturer companies, but that's like your vacation or whatever. You do all these things. Bottom line, you're not actually paying the loans. You're not actually using the money for the business, right? Nobody cares until like when you're audited. But let's say it's time to pay back the loans. You're going to default on your loans, right? You can't pay the money back. You can file for bankruptcy. And what happens is that business takes the brunt of it, but not your person. Todd Chrisley is separate from the business. When you create an LLC, that is its own entity. So what happens is now that business is bankrupt. That business is at $0. But the money, shoot, dude, I can't pay that money back. Okay, I'm going to go bankrupt. If you have an LLC, the LLC is bankrupt, but you still have the money. Does that make sense? And you can actually repeat that over and over again. You can make 15 LLCs, get 15 business loans. This is exaggeration, but some people do it. Get 15 business loans or a construction loan or whatever, all these crazy things to say you're doing all this stuff. Oh, I can't do it. I'm defaulting. I'm out of there. Bankrupt. And you can throw that bankrupt card out. It destroys that business, but you as a person are still intact. That's fraud. That's a federal crime. You're out of there. 12 years. You see you in 2032, buddy. But a lot of the time with these white collar crimes, they come by way and means of people who have very powerful connections. They have very powerful connections and people that they know in very high places. That's why you're talking about $30 million in defraud of community banks. Community banks are different than like a Chase, Wells Fargo, because they can set their own interests. It's like, these credit unions or these small. Guys, there's other videos on this stuff, but just know this is a very well-known scheme. I think it'd be foolish to waste your time trying to defraud or use fraud to kind of get up, because it will come back to haunt you when somebody puts that, okay, we want to indict you. And once you're indicted, now you have to provide, and this is what I went through at Chase in 2021 during COVID when they were giving out all the PPP loans, 2020, 2021. As a branch, we were trying to stop these people from fraudulently giving us their 1099 tax forms from their W2, their LLC that they just created a year, or they found a way to, I had this LLC from a while ago, and now they have no activity on that LLC, but now they're getting a $10,000 check that they're going to cash out the same day. That's what they were doing. And we were freezing the bank accounts to buy us more time so that these guys could maybe just give it up. Like, okay, whatever, screw the loan. So that they wouldn't take it out and get audited in 6 months to a year's time and then go to jail, because that's a federal crime. But then we got a call from Chase Bank telling us, don't do that. You cannot stop these people from accessing their money. We can no longer hold freezes on the accounts. Even if you say it's fraud, we can't hold it. And I was like, God, and what ended up happening? Yeah, in 2022, 2023, the audits started coming out. All those PPP loan guys got taken out the box. And I know a huge amount of them banked with us at Chase. Very sad. Anyways, What makes white collar crime so interesting is when you find out somehow they get out. Somehow they get lower sentences. Somehow they get off kind of like with a slap on the wrist kind of deal. They did their time. They were, indicted in 2019, right, as it says, but they did their time. This couple did their time. But when you look at them, it's not about race, but this is the look of people who do white collar crimes. It doesn't necessarily they're white, because they're black people, there's Hispanic, there's Asian, all kinds of people do it. But this is the look of it. They look like an innocent couple. Another example is Brett Favre, the insurance scam that he was doing, over $5 million. Again, slap on the wrist, Brett Favre. Because look at how Brett Favre looks. Look, Brett Favre, Sorry, bro. Sorry, Brett. You're catching a stray. I'm a huge fan of yours, but you're going to catch this major stray right here. He's a, Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl champ. Brett Favre, the gunslinger. I mean, that throw that he did in the back of the end zone. I mean, come on. There's many people against the Vikings. There's not many people who can do that. I'll lead you guys to look that up. But anyways, I don't want this video to go too long, but with these white collar crimes, man, Donald Trump, he's a president. You can pardon anybody you want to pardon. You know what I mean? We're pardoning we're pardoning our own sons who commit obvious crimes, but we have the power to pardon them. We're going to pardon them. So maybe he knows them. Who knows? But they're pardoned. They're out of there. And, he said it was a pretty harsh treatment based on the hearings. Now, that's another thing. Sometimes you can get a really weird jury cast. Sometimes how the defense or the prosecutors select juries, like, you can remove certain people because they have some prior knowledge with this, so you can kind of set up. It's another trick in the law world. I studied political science for 5 years, so I don't know too much about I don't know too much about the law aspect as far as inside the courtroom. I just know I studied the products of it, and I did that at Cal State Long Beach. With my emphasis was on global politics. So, but I am aware that is a part of the game, and sometimes you can't get a biased jury. It's random, but it's kind of not random. The original process is random, but you can kind of select who you kind of want. That's another video. Go watch. There's tons of people who probably talk about that. But again, they got pardoned. What do you guys think about it? If you guys know, enlighten me, enlighten us. Let's talk more. But again, Jesus is the best. It's your boy MoFresh. Thank you again for tuning in and for supporting. And I'm excited to do more videos like this. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.